You're strong.
I know.
It's okay. I've got you now.
Just like in the movies.
Welcome to SuperWonder Legacy. I am Jared. I am here with Britt, as always. What's up, Britt?
Hello, hello.
And we are talking about Justice League Action, a better version of Justice League Unlimited for a lot of reasons. Number one, SuperWonder. I think that's beyond the point. But it's also the fact that it's, you know what I just realized, Britt? This show doesn't feature Lois.
Right, she's only in, she was only in like 2 scenes, or one of the shorts that they would put on YouTube, and then in one episode where Clark and I think that was Barry, they were racing, as they normally do. But yeah, that was it.
It's kind of funny how the less Lois, the better the show. It's almost as if that's a subliminal message by DC saying, save us from this woman.
But it also shows that you're not obligated to put her in the forefront at the expense of Diana.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to talk about that. So Just League Action. Now, let me tell you guys a story about this. So this is the show that I discovered like a couple of years ago. And it was one of those things where I was watching it because I got to be honest. I watched it because I saw the clip of Clark and Diana's date. And I go, and this was around the time that I had been shut off from the DCAU, obviously because of like DOS and the BS of DOS. But when I was checking this out, like because the minute I see SuperWonder being represented in everything, it was one of those things where if SuperWonder is represented in DC, period, first off, I don't believe it. It's like when Britt and I found out that like Superman and Wonder Woman were together in the Tomorrowverse. We were like, wait, come again? So anyway, with this, I couldn't believe it. So I was checking this out. And here's the thing. This is more of a like, first off, the thing about Justice League Action is that this one's more of a like, it's more of a like bright, not really comedic. I mean, maybe a little bit comedic, but it's a little bit more of a less like serious tone.
It's very much an homage to the Silver Age. I believe that's what Krieg said.
Isn't it kind of funny how all the best depictions of Wonder Woman he's involved in?
Right, and we will get to that.
And Krieg, if you're watching this, please come on our show. Anyway, so I had to shoot my shot at that. So with this, now here's a couple of interesting things about the show. It's more of like a short form like show in that each episode is like 10 minutes, but it's also very interesting how it has 52 episodes. It's kind of funny how like it rolls out. Yeah,
right,
go ahead.
For the new 52, that is very something. But the thing is, even if they are 11 minutes each, it's so much going on, but it's so fulfilling in a way with the short episodes. And I feel like with other, it really took it to kind of like an old school type cartoon format because, let's say, Dexter's Laboratory.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of that.
That show had like multiple mini episodes in one episode, and it still felt like an ongoing story, and just it wasn't rushed or anything. It just felt it was just going, natural.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the only part about this that I had to get used to, I'm fine with it now, but it took a little bit of like, okay, is Wonder Woman's hair.
Well, okay, so one of the designs actually, it was gonna be a little bit more spiky and,
Hmm.
very aggressive
Goku?
looking. Well, I think she was supposed to have like a side, like shaved side, you know. So
I could kind of see that.
or or something like that. But honestly, it just all depends on the direction of her hair, like in certain frames. But I don't mind it. I like it.
Yeah, let me put it this way: it's it's something new, and it's like, okay, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
She still looks like Diana. This is better than um my adventures with
Yeah.
Lois.
Hmm.
Like,
She
you
actually
know,
looks like a woman.
well, I women have pixie cuts, but the way that it's just designed, first of all, it is a redesign from another cartoon. I
Hmm.
think Voltron. So it's like
Oh,
the guy's haircut. So it's just re image to be for Lois, but it's kind of like, yeah, that needed to tweak that a little bit more to make it, fitting for, and especially if she's already drawn to be short, but on purpose, as the whole anime trope of the really, really tall guy and a really, really short girl. And she does not look like she's in her early 20s.
she looks like she's in her early teens.
Right. So the design is very much the anime that we talk about that's could go borderline weird.
Hmm.
So, they could have done a little bit better with her hair.
But,
So
but
this,
and here's the other thing with this. This it's very interesting that we talked about New 52 earlier because all these characters do seem younger.
oh yeah, they're definitely younger here. Yeah. And I mean, with DCAU, you had an old as dirt Batman, and then you had
18-year-old Wonder Woman.
18, yeah, you had a Superman who was, I think, like
Is he like
almost,
40?
yeah, he's old, and then everyone else is kind of like arranged from 18 to 40 or 45, like Batman, and it was kind of like you're still the designs, especially with Bruce Tim, you're still designing women to be sexualized, and for Diana to be 18 and sexualized that way, you wouldn't think that she was that young. Um,
Exactly.
and he already had the whole thing with Barbara Gordon, so it's no surprise that he tried to make Diana fawn over Batman. But yeah, for an 18
We'll,
year
we'll
old,
we'll talk about that because trust me, that's egregious. But
right?
so with the tone, the structure. So again, it's like short form, short 11-minute episodes, which honestly I like because it forces you to not have any filler in the episodes. Like you have to hit the only things going in this are what directly contributes to the plot that you are like telling. And for the most part, it's like essentially creature of the week like episodes, but they do it in a way where obviously they carry on plot points like Superman and Wonder Woman dating and such.
Exactly. And it's also not in your face though. Like their relationship, it was cute for, the 12th episodes, which again is kind of funny because episode 12 is their date. And then you have New 52, issue 12 is with Justice League. So that was cute. Um, but yeah, it wasn't in your face though, because it gave other characters spotlight, and but they still gave like that subtle, yeah, they're still together type thing, throughout a couple of episodes after their date.
Yeah. And the other thing about this series that I'm going to give it its flowers very strictly, particularly with the tone, is that there's a tendency of like shows that go overtly comedic with like animated stuff for it to seem like too kiddie and too like patronizing, if you will. This doesn't do that. Like it still feels like, I mean, it's not an adult show, obviously, but it's a show that like I could watch without being like, oh God.
It's not like Teen Titans Go.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
I mean, Teen Titans Go is very popular. You know, it is what it is with it being very goofy, but that is very cutie, you know, and something that you can't take serious. This is more just lighthearted fun,
Hmm.
that adults can watch it as well, you know.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think that is the tone that wanted to be set, and it was met.
Yeah, exactly. And it featured a lot of characters that don't necessarily get the spotlight, like Space Cabbie. So I'm like, okay, that's good. By the way, my first exposure to Space Cabbie was this show. So let's talk about what came before, because you had the overly aggressive Batman obsessed version of Wonder Woman, which was created purely because they, for some reason, thought Wonder Woman was one noted as opposed to like Harley Quinn. Yeah, Harley Quinn's the one that you want to highlight as an empowerment for girls over Wonder Woman.
Exactly. And you know, the thing with that was very much I am a Batman fanboy, and I
Yep.
just only care for Batman's world.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I covered every episode of Justice League, one of the things that that I said was, okay, the problem with this show. Well, let me preface this. I still enjoy Justice League and Justice League Unlimited and all that stuff. There's still stuff to enjoy in them. But the problem is it's made by people that started with Batman and then forgot that they were writing other Justice League characters other than Batman, because everyone, including the female characters, gravitate toward Batman. He practically dated half the Justice League.
Which is not a flex. You just, first of all, you're making the women, the female characters, very weak, and just there's no female empowerment with that whatsoever. And to turn like the most iconic and representation of feminism and, you know, female empowerment of, you know, to, oh, she wants to fawn over and chase the bad boy when she's supposed to be upholding respect for women. Terrible message.
Also, I love when they said that they didn't know what to do with her. And yet, okay, I'm going to say this. Gail Simone was on your writing staff.
Well, you know what? Simone does have her issues, so I, I
No, but
wouldn't give her too
my
much
point
credit.
is, you had someone that was familiar with the character. I'm not sure if she had written Wonder Woman yet, but the point is, it's like you had someone that was from. Or here's the thing: you're connected to DC Comics. Hey, DC, can you send someone to look over these scripts that's familiar with Wonder Woman?
No, that's too much
It's
like
too it's
us.
too hard. It's too hard. I know it's too hard. And again, it would go against their worshiping of Harley Quinn, which I'm pretty sure they're biased because they invented Harley Quinn. But it's like the problem with this is that Wonder Woman's too overly aggressive. Obviously, she fawns over Batman, which she wouldn't do. She's used as the butt of the joke, and it's just like the thing is, when people complain about there was no Wonder Woman focused episode of Justice League or Justice League Unlimited, there kind of was, but I'm taking that as that like assertion. I don't want there to be, because there'd just be more of this BS.
Right, the Wonder Woman, you know, focused, if you want to call it that, it was either her banished from the mascara, her relationship with Hippolyta totally, you know, destroyed, um, and then you had to have Batman involved in some type of way.
Yeah, exactly. And I go, no, I'm sorry, that is horrible. Now compare that. Oh, and by the way, I love when they were talking about the Superman Wonder Woman idea as the quarterback dating the cheerleader, and I go,
What do
um,
you think this is of you're basically calling Diana a cheerleader. So, okay, so the cheerleader goes for the bad boy. The, this is just as cliche, if not more so, but also is worse.
well, yeah, and it's like, and it's again, it's like these guys were very, because I watched all the documentaries on the JLU and DCAU, and they talked about that, like they basically indicated that they were trying to keep the versions that were like from when they were reading comics, and I go, that's not the way the characters are written right now. So I'm
No, but it's
like,
not that. It was the
yeah,
fact that Diana never had interest in Batman to say, this is how I, read it in comics in the first place. It was if they're old as dirt, so they were probably within
Self-insert, where they're like,
the
look, I'm Batman. All the women want me.
that, but let's say they are in the Silver Age, maybe the Bronze Age era.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
that was still very much Clark and Diana. So no, it was, and I believe also for the New Frontier movie, Bruce Timm said that he, or just someone implied, of not wanting Clark and Diana to have their moments,
Mhm.
and putting Lois in basically to protect Lois and for no one to ship, Clark and Diana. So, I mean, in a way, it's very much admitting that Clark and Diana have something, worth of value.
That's the funny
And
part. Whenever the detractors like go, it doesn't work because of this, I'm like, you literally are telling me it works because of this.
yeah, saying, oh, it's obvious or something, or it's predictable. What do
Okay.
you think? What do you think traditional relationships are? Like, Lois is the love interest. It's very predictable and very obvious that Clark will get with her at some point.
Exactly.
So it's like,
I mean, remember they even said how many tweets have gone out since the Superman movie came out of them going together in every universe, and I go, that's not predictable.
yeah, that's and saying you want the same thing over and over. I mean, come on now. I don't know, this double standard or whatever. It's like what I like, it can get a pass for,
Exactly. Exactly. And again, I want to be clear on this. Britt and I don't give a pass to stuff, even if it's promoting something we like. Remember, we did an episode on the worst depictions of SuperWonder.
yeah.
That should
Like
tell you something.
even with this show, it's with us as long as Clark and Diana have a close bond of a friend of their friendship and basically just reminiscent to Perez,
Yeah.
or that lighthearted, even the flirtatious thing, even if it's you know, obviously they're friends, but you can read that there could be something more. That's all their relationship is. It doesn't have to completely go into they're actually together in a romantic, that whole territory. So
Exactly.
the fact that Christopher Priest, Greg Rucka, Dan Jurgens, who else? Joe Kelly, all of these
The
writers.
guy that wrote Superman smashes the Klan.
Oh, yes, Gene Yang.
Which
Um,
I'm gonna say this to reference the Eisners when he won for like best writer. I was like, okay, at least Tom King didn't win.
I mean, he's a good writer for other things, but
And I will say, Robert and I did go over on his channel, Superman Smashes the Klan. It's a pretty good story, but so I'm like, at least a competent writer won.
exactly, he is a good writer. It's just the fact of his ideas of like Clark and Diana. To think that, oh, they're just together because of the matching color scheme. I mean, to reduce their relationship far to something that superficial, when as a writer who explores immigration and
Mhm.
being an outsider, being a person of color, or you know to to put that on a relationship that um exemplifies diversity and emphasizes on immigration and being outsiders and stuff like that. But yet you want Clark to be with Lois because you want him basically to say, "Oh, I am American." That's basically what you want to
Exactly.
say.
You know, it's kind of funny, Brett. So we have had a writer write Clark and Diana that was an immigration lawyer and understood the concept of being like othered. if only we knew his name. It's not like he wrote like one of the top selling new 52 comic books. Oh yeah, Charles Soule.
Right.
But anyway, what do I know? By the way, so you contrast this. By the way, remember when they also hinted that Diana was the daughter of Hades?
Exactly. And the thing is, with the Wonder Bat fans too, they was like, oh, if she's the daughter of Hades, they put that comparison with Batman too. So I'm like, yeah, you all would do that. But the way Hades was depicted as basically disgusting Diana and disgusting Hippolyta, how
Yeah.
chauvinistic and sexist he was, very disrespectful. So you're basically, saying that Batman is the same way. If you want to put that together. And what's so funny is, again, if you're trying to put Batman as Hades, you're taking again another implication from SuperWonder, because Clark is in that contrast of Zeus and Hercules, and how he is not compared to as in the same as Batman and Hades. He is the total opposite. He's the anti Zeus and Hercules. So yeah, you're not winning this argument.
Trust me.
If you actually sit and analyze this, the Wonder Bat fans have such disrespect towards Diana.
Exactly.
And the fact that the relationship that they headcanon is always what Diana can do for Bruce. She can make him happy. She can be his therapist. You had Nicola Scott, or
she was
Nicola.
also the one that looked Nicola Scott that commented on a panel of like Bruce talking to Dick Grayson and goes, "Call me when they kiss." Two characters that are basically father and son. That definitely works.
Right, but she tweeted out saying that Diana was Clark's second choice, and I'm like, she's not even a choice for Bruce at all. And then she said,
remember Phil Jimenez. Oh, I like Diana with Batman because I wanted to date the bad boy.
Bad boy. She also said that she didn't want like the ending of Kingdom Come because she would rather Diana play nurse for Batman than be the wife of Superman. And I'm like,
well, here's the funny part: with how old Batman is in that storyline, she would be playing nurse anyway.
Exactly.
So yeah, go ahead.
And then you also have Greg Rucka with saying that he wanted Bruce to be like jealous of, well, in the interview, he was saying jealous of, he said Superman. So I'm like, yeah, you're definitely thinking of Superman. But he wanted to change the way the Trinity dynamic was. So he wanted the same relationship that basically Clark and Bruce has, he wanted to change that for Diana to take Clark's place and for Bruce to be jealous of Diana and envious of her. But I don't understand, how does that translate to being in love with someone?
Well,
that's
yeah,
really toxic.
exactly.
So, and for you to say that you want Diana to rebel against Hippolyta, to go,
that's not what Hippolyta does. Or that's like Tom King calling Wonder Woman punk rock and saying that like she is like against the system. And I go, that's not who Diana is.
Right. So she is against the system. She is, but
yeah, but she's not the way Tom King thinks.
Right. Yeah, the whole contradiction thing, she's not. But yeah, that whole
what I mean is, like with Diana, she's more of the I'm gonna counter the system by working from within.
Yeah. I mean, she would work out and
because hear me on this. It goes with her being a diplomat as well. She's working within the, albeit very flawed world political system in order to promote peace.
Yeah, that is true. She does, but it still has to be a cutoff at some point,
Exactly.
But
so counter that with, again, it's really amazing that whenever Krieg is involved, and we'll talk about this again later, but whenever Krieg is involved, we get the peak animated Wonder Woman. Isn't that hilarious?
Right, because he is a Wonder Woman fan. You have to have a Wonder Woman fan, that's the caretaker for her with
Mhm.
the animation.
And I need to say, she has some of the most hilarious lines in here. Like I love where in this one she walks down the ramp. You have like an army of like Mongols troops, and she goes, "All right, who's what?" She basically says, "All right, who am I going through first?"
Yes, that is funny. She's so hyper, but she's not violent.
No.
She's not um bloodthirsty or sword swinging happy. She's just ready to have a good fight in a very humorous type way, you know.
Mhm. Or it's like when they go inside Clark, she goes, "Well, if you think this is awkward, I'm the one dating him."
That was funny because she just felt very, in tune with the fact that yeah, she's dating, and that is very awkward, because it's like and that was those little subtle moments that the voice actor talked about, that no, it's not going to be the focus, but at the same time it's like you're going to get hints that yeah, it's still an ongoing thing.
Yeah, exactly. Which I really dug. And it's like, by the way, the other reason why Britt and I are doing this episode is because apparently there's some like lie going on Twitter that they broke up in this show. And I go,
That's because
no, they didn't.
they did not watch the show. Like I
They think
remember,
because they broke up in the AMU that they broke up in this.
yeah, no, never. I mean, like I said, they did not watch past, I don't know. I don't even think they watched it, like, unless it was little clips here and there on YouTube, but to actually watch the show full on, no, I don't think they actually watched it.
Oh hell no. But yeah, and so then you get to the part that really shocked me with this, because again, it's like, now I'm gonna say this. When I watched these episodes and I saw like Superman and Wonder Woman together, there was a part of me, because of everything Britt and I have encountered with DC, where I was like, are they going to be together and then John Burnett and say, you know what, this isn't right. It's like we're better off as friends. Nope, they never do this. So I was like, thank Christ, because and Britt, it's like, do I have a reason to be concerned with this?
Exactly. Yes, we do.
It's like I couldn't. It's to the point where if this relationship or even Wonder Woman is like treated with respect, I can't believe it.
Exactly.
That's the messed up part about this.
That is the messed up part because we are supposed to, expect the best in a sense, be like excited for something, but instead we're thinking, uh, yeah, ahead in a negative sense, like, okay, is Diana going to have respect? Is she going to be a mouthpiece or a stepping stool? Is Lois going to be involved? And if Lois is involved, is she, going to take Diana's role like she has done in these iterations? And it's a pattern, you know, um, with DCAU, with New Frontier. Um, I mean, and within the comics, I mean, you had to destroy a relationship, and not just their romantic, relationship, but also their friendship to make this status quo work.
Yeah,
That's really uncreative and lame,
Yeah,
very
exactly.
lame.
Well, it's not even lame, but because Britt, that's the same issue that I've always had with the Lois Lane character in general. If you have to tear down like a relationship or another character in order to prop up another relationship and another character, there's something wrong with the character or relationship that you're trying to like promote. That's the
Exactly.
thing. It should be able to, because Super Wonder, you don't have to tear down Clois. You do not. In fact, they don't in this in the Tomorrowverse. They show respect for it. You do not have to tear it down. With this, with like Clois, they always tear down Clark's other relationships to prop up this other person.
I mean, look at Lana,
Mhm.
in Smallville. After a couple of seasons, she was treated very poorly. And I think the behind the scenes, the actress herself was treated poorly.
Mhm.
Um, you know, um, you have in comics, Lana, she was created as like the girl next door or a sort of a clone of Lois for Clark's, Superboy years, a little bit, but it was also trying to do like a Betty and Veronica type thing,
Mm-hmm.
with Archie. So that was that. But after a while, though, Lana did become her own character, and yet DC still continued to use her to prop up Lois. Then you have Diana. She is the most powerful, influential, inspirational female character. She's a superhero. She does stand out way more than Lois. So, in order for Lois to be ahead, for her fans to call her the first lady of DC, you have to actually, sabotage the true first lady of DC, which is Diana, in a sense of making her, having that less exposure, making her the third wheel of the Trinity when she's supposed to be equal, destroying her relationship with Clark, not having her as close to him as she should be. I mean, it is insane how ever since Rebirth, we have not had very little specks, but genuine moments of Clark and Diana because of this status quo. And it really tells a lot. And it's not because, again, of them not being the best for each other in terms of a friendship. If that was the case, there would not be a Trinity.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, so with this, it's like, the other thing, by the way, I wanna bring up, because I want to address this, because I know someone in the comments is going to promote this. When Clark and Diana are together in the show, she does not turn into like Clark's girlfriend or anything like that. She still does Wonder Woman stuff. It's like occasionally they reference that they're together, but again, it's not the focus of the show. While I think a Superman Wonder Woman joint TV show would be an interesting idea to explore, DC, please steal my idea and pay me. But but with this, it's like when they're together, they're like, yeah, we're together, like in the scene where she's inside of his nose. We'll discuss that episode. So I know I just said something out of context, but she goes, yeah, and we're dating, and I go, okay. That's the only, it's small references, but she still is like tough, hard as nails Wonder Woman that also has like a comedic, like a comedic quirk and stuff.
Yeah, she actually has personality, a
Mm-hmm.
sense of humor. She, loves cannolis, wanted a
Mm-hmm.
cannoli. She wanted a kiss. She is a female character, a very well-rounded female character.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get to like, and it's one of those things where, again, so we get a broader spotlight in the DC universe. And again, this is the other thing that I really liked about this, is the fact that they really feature a very like a very big like selection of DC characters that they use, and because it's like you would expect that like that like every episode would have to feature a member of the Trinity or like Green Lantern per se, or like any of the other like top dogs. But no, you had episodes focusing on like Lobo and Space Cabbie. So it's not like any one character is like overly shown up. And luckily, that's the advantage of it being a Justice League show. And then it's like, what you also have is like, it also placed a good amount of focus on the female characters without them being like sidekicks to the male characters. Again, like Wonder Woman. There are plenty of episodes where it's Wonder Woman focused, and that does make me want a Wonder Woman animated show, but I think everyone wants that. But it is really cool, and it's like, this is what Justice League Unlimited should have been, because Batman is like the top dog of that entire show. But in this, no, at least at the very least, when it comes to the Trinity, they are all like the equal co-leads of the Justice League.
Right, right. And which was good. Everyone was able to shine. It felt very much like an equal team.
Yeah, exactly. And
Even with having Cyborg on the team,
yeah,
it was so, a lot of people don't like that because they're so nostalgic for the Titans. But in this setting of Justice League action, he fit quite well, you know?
Yeah, and it's like even with the new 52 or even the Snyderverse, here's the thing: putting Cyborg on the Justice League elevates the character. Because I get that like people like hold up like Teen Titans and stuff, but first off, the Teen Titans brand at the time the new 52 launch was nowhere near where it was when Wolfman and Perez were on that series. Number one, number two, the Justice League was much younger, at least in the new 52. So having Cyborg on the team, like they were all in like their mid to late 20s when they met, and having Cyborg on the team, that makes sense. And it's like, why wouldn't there be a character that like essentially in the Snyderverse showed this perfectly, has the powers of a god because of how technologically dependent our world is?
Exactly. And it also just elevates the fact that he is a black character,
Yep,
you know,
exactly.
and he there's a lot of intelligent black characters. I mean, they're trying to elevate Mr. Terrific now,
There's
but
also Black Lightning,
right,
Mari.
right. So they were trying to do that in a sense. Would I want Vixen, you know, to balance that out? Yes, and
Yeah.
then Black Lightning, and now Mr. Terrific. But still, Cyborg was still a right direction in that point.
And it wasn't like in the Snyderverse, the New 52, he was a bad addition. It's like his story arguably elevated a lot of what was being told, particularly in Zack Snyder's Justice League. But anyway, with this, it's like, so then you get to, not only were there a lot of depictions of the characters, but every character felt respected. And no character was treated like they were the outright joke. I mean, unless the story really fit for it, but like with Wonder Woman or even Aquaman, none of them felt like the. Let me put it this way: none of these characters felt like the creatives had a vendetta against them. And compare that to the DCAU.
Exactly. It felt like they were just having fun. You
Yeah.
know, DCAU was definitely how do we make this about Batman? If you are better than Batman, we are going to make you much lesser.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like even with this, we had Supergirl fighting Wonder Woman and the Shield,
Diana
huh?
Diana training
Mm-hmm.
Kara um in this show,
Mm-hmm.
if anything, if James Gunn is going to take like Silver Age, you know, concepts and stuff, um I would like to see Diana train Kara in DC.
Problem is, which version of Supergirl is he using, Britt?
I know, but it could be I don't a character development, you know,
It would
part
be
of her
hilarious
arc.
it would be hilarious for a screw you Tom King moment. I have Diana like slap Supergirl and go, get a hold of yourself. You're not acting like a true hero.
Right, something like that. I would think that, I mean, because it is said that Kara had is very emotional. You
Mhm.
know, she had it much worse than Clark did. So she needs guidance.
Yeah,
And
it's like she was that in the new 52 Supergirl series by Britt. You would really dig this series. I'm gonna promote that for you. But it's like with this, here's the cool part that the new 52 added when Supergirl showed up. She didn't speak English. Like she just it's like because and when she met Cal, she thought he was like tricking her when he said like I'm from Krypton. So what they did immediately in this is they separated Cal from Kara and made Kara a character in her own right. I mean, later on they gave her a Red Lantern ring as well.
right, I did read some of the Red Lantern part, and yeah, it really showed her emotional journey, you know, until she regained herself, and her relationship with Clark was antagonistic in a sense because she had held a little bit of resentment, but they were still they were still trying to be there for each other, as cousins. And I do like the it's confusing, but it also is just part of fiction that Kara was older than Cal, and
Yes,
then
James Gunn.
and then to see him grow up and he's now older than her, and he is so well adjusted. She is going to have resentment in that sense. So James Gunn really did, you know, he cut that concept off at the neck basically, because you don't get that emotional, like, character development. You don't get that cousin, um that's dynamic where they can build from there. Even with them knowing each other and having crypto, you lose a lot because yeah, he didn't want to have an origin story, but that doesn't mean just skip over any type of interaction and first meetings,
Well, here's the thing: Superman, you don't need an origin. You don't need to do the origin for. Supergirl, you do need to show the origin for.
which I believe they are going to do. So
Mhm.
that's why her parents are um cast, but still, we weren't able to see, like, so when did they meet? When did Kara and Cal meet? In within the DCEU. I mean DCU. It's just, oh, we're gonna put you slap dab in the middle of he's babysitting or dog sitting crypto for her. She is already a drunk. That's it. That's all. They didn't have any type of true interaction. It was just her calling him what he sometimes already is, um, and that was it.
Yeah, exactly. So continuing on, then you get to this because yeah, the show is now. It's cool that both of these shows exist. It's not like we're saying that the DCAU has to go away. It's like, here's the thing: there's room for both of these shows, and they both contribute. They both cater to different audiences, and you know what? Hey, Britt, we have our own show. Isn't that great?
Right. I mean, you can say which audience
Mm-hmm.
is better because the
Which is
because
more respectful to a
respectful.
certain wonderful woman. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, because the way this show has cultivated the most toxic, behaving, even if they are older men, it's still the fact that they act like very in they act like teenage boys who are trying to act grown. Let me say it like that. And
It's almost like what my friend Max Priestley said, that Tom King writes for stupid people who want to act like they're smart.
well, yeah, that too. And the fact that they don't even read her comics, they don't know her character other than DCAU and say this the best version of her. And but it's like, no, read her books and you will see, no, this is not the best version of her.
No, oh no! As soon as you read what, because again, I was more like, oh, I like the DCAU version of Wonder Woman. I think she's awesome. Then I actually read the comics, and I go, oh no.
Right. Once you read Diana's books and you see, you know, Perez is definitely going to have you like, wait a minute, this is two, it feels like two different characters. They want to have her as like sometimes this doe-eyed, fresh, fish out of water type character, but she is supposed to be a free bird, lighthearted. She's supposed to be, this free spirit, that brings the sunshine. But in DCAU, she acts like the doe-eyed, fish out of water, a little bit of an airhead, and
A little
she's
bit.
I'm trying to be nice, just a little bit. Um, I'm trying to be nice and cordial, because you know, um, but
Well, let me put it this way: it's payback for all the times that I try to be cordial, and you're like, "Is it though?"
I mean, even this is I'm really struggling to to be in the middle of this, trying trying to find the words to give this some credit is very difficult right now. But just the fact that she was very aggressive, and she wasn't a girl's girl. She called, sister and stuff like that. It's kind of like they threw that in, but her actual interactions with female characters was not it.
Oh yeah, exactly. But it's like with this, it's like, hey, you have a show that respects Wonder Woman, that has her with Superman, but doesn't degrade her. That's the interesting comparison to make here, Britt, because one has her like practically lusting over another member of the Trinity, and this one has her more as like an equal and actually in a relationship with a different member of the Trinity. It's kind of interesting when you look at the contrast, isn't it? It's almost like you said before, one group respects Wonder Woman, the other does not.
And it's so funny that the one that respects Diana is the one that's always demonized and ostracized, though.
I know, right? Oh, so you could say it's the black sheep.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you go. If you know, you know. But it's like, and again, it's like this show, like the sad part about this show is that it's not talked about enough. This is partly why Britt and I wanted to do an episode on this, is because for everything that it does right, barely anyone talks about this show. The only, like Britt said earlier, the only time I ever see people talking about this is when like DC posts like a clip of it onto YouTube.
Right, which is crazy because, again, you have this show that gave respect, that was really fun, but they are so stuck, nostalgic for this, for DCAU. And yeah, a, the generation grew up on it, it did change, um, you know, it gave DC the fan boost. It did. But at the same time, it's not a good depiction for characters that the source material of. Yes, you can have adaptations of the characters. That's fine. But when you change the character to the point of, like, honestly, you can change that Diana and say that she either is Cersei in disguise or Maxima
It
in
was
disguise.
Cersei all along.
And definitely Maxima. You can definitely say that that's Maxima, and someone would believe you, because she does not truly act like Diana. She doesn't. Like I said, you
Yeah.
can have adaptations, different iterations, and everything like that. But when you go so far off kilter with the core of the character, when you make her aggressive, even they want to complain about New 52. New 52 Diana was not aggressive. You know,
Mhm.
John's
And they always share like one image. That's the funniest part. We share like the one image of like, the God of War with the bloody sword, but I'm like, have you seen Post Crisis Diana?
No, but the thing is, the bloody sword, that's a cover. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a clickbait cover. Come on now. The actual story, Diana was having nightmares being the goddess of war. She wanted to change war into something like the last resort, or to the point where it doesn't even exist. So a lot of people just, they don't read, they don't want to. So yeah, it's easy access to watch the cartoons, and then that's what they get their, information and interpretations from. But and also their expectations. And it's so if they see another adaptation with the character more aligned to the true what's true within the comics, then they say no, that's the wrong thing. So that's how they act with Diana. It's like Diana has to be DCAU version, and it's like no, no, she doesn't.
Exactly. So now what Britt and I are gonna do is we've selected a bunch of episodes. We're not gonna feature every episode that Clark and Diana appear in because, quite frankly, there's too many. But what we're gonna focus on is ones that particularly highlight certain aspects of like their and their relationship. And there were a few where I'm like, oh, Britt, you forgot this one. And yeah, so here we go. Let's start with Power Outage. So tell us about Power Outage, Britt.
Okay, so Power Outage. This is part two of the first episode, and it's Clark. He goes to Parasite, I believe, is trying to break out of the prison. So he goes to Clark goes to fight him, and when he tries to escape, Diana traps him into the lasso. She does want to like get rid of him in a sense, and Clark has to say no, but it's very played on humor. And Diana's basically like, well, he's gonna keep coming, trying to escape, and other people's gonna get hurt. So what are we gonna do? After that, they somehow end up in the park, I believe, or Diana does, and Jimmy Olsen, he is having his camera live, you know, and trying to get views. And then all of a sudden, this meteor falls into Metropolis Park or crashes into Metropolis Park. And I can't say his name. I guess it's Calathos, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure how to say it, but he appears and Diana and Clark are trying to fight him, and they realize that they are giving it, all they got, but they are getting weaker and he's getting stronger. So he's actually absorbing their powers. He also absorbed Parasite first too. So yeah. So throughout the episode, they're trying to figure out how do we defeat him if we can't touch him. Martian Manhunter comes in, and it's only when they have the plan to have I'm gonna name him Callie because uh, so Callie absorbs Martian Manhunter's power and also his weakness, which is fire. So they set that plan up, and he's scared of the fire, and they, ended up, of course, defeating him and getting their powers back. But yeah, it was a really fun episode, and I also love Diana's speech, her determination speech, where she said, "We are both warriors." So it's like that's another in your face to Wonderbat fans because they also have this superficial idea that um, Diana and Bruce have like this connection being warriors. If you think about it in a mythological type sense, all of the Justice Leaguers are warriors. You know, whether
Yeah.
it's
And before you guys freak out, we don't mean they're all like, let's kill people.
no, it's the social justice warrior type thing, the
Mm-hmm.
good kind, not the extreme, but
Mm-hmm.
the OG version of the social justice warrior. You're fighting, you are the fighter for justice. So justice warriors or whatever. That is what that is. So it's not anything that's special to anyone really as a quote unquote warrior because they all are in some way. I know that in the comics at some point there was like I think Clark tried to reject that notion about being a warrior, but again, it's the simplified version of you thinking warrior means sword happy or whatever. But no, it's
Exactly.
such a complex word.
Or it's like, remember, it's like, it's a contradiction if you're a warrior for peace, at least according
Right.
to certain writers that think they understand comics.
Right. It's they do not understand that characters, well-rounded characters with personality and everything like that, they're supposed to be complex. It's not a contradiction, it's a complexity. And it's also they have to be multifaceted. And being a warrior of peace, you are fighting for peace. Like I'm not understanding why is it so difficult to understand what this word means and what these characters, you know, mean and the complexity that goes along with it. Why do they have to simplify it when you are supposed to be the creator?
And Britt, you just gave me an idea.
Of course I did.
So then we get to episode 8. This one I freaking loved because Mongol abducts the Joker, and the cool part about this episode is that's under a time limit because Joker has hidden a dirty bomb, and it's gonna blow up in 24 hours. But he gets abducted by Mongol before Batman could get him. So Superman, Wonder Woman, in other words, the crew that should have been the Warworld saga, go to war. Oh my gosh, this episode is basically the Warworld saga. Oh my god, I just realized that. It's so the Warworld team goes and fights and tries to rescue Mongol. And I love how Batman, I like the Joker's how Superman's fighting Mongol. And Joker goes, "Yeah, Superman." This feels so wrong.
It was the funniest part is when Joker, like, he gets caught in Cal's hand. Like, his face, that is the funniest gif.
And Superman's just holding him there like, okay, I got him.
Yeah, that is hilarious. It's a lot of things in here that is so, like, have very good comedic timing, and it's not the obnoxious comedy, James Gunn.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like when Wonder Woman comes down the ramp, she sees like a platoon of dudes, and then instead of like going, she literally goes, "Okay, so who am I going through first?"
Right.
I just adore, and I love how Joker basically turns Warworld into a comedy club, and then to fight, and then to so what they do to counter it. So the bomb just releases Joker gas, so Superman breathes it in, and immediately I'm like, well, that's not good. Except he exhales it in all of Warworld, but then I'm like, when you know the comics, I know it's a cartoon, but it's like they're gonna keep laughing until they die.
Yeah, that.
But still, it's a fun episode, so I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is a plot hole. Because I understand it's like a cartoon, so there has to be some suspension of disbelief. But it is really like it's a really humorous plot for this.
Exactly.
And then the next one is basically the Justice League play Injustice against Toyman. That's basically what this is. So Toyman. And I love, so speaking of Cyborg, I love where like there's an attack on the Watchtower, and Cyborg didn't hear it because he has headphones on playing video games.
Exactly. It's so funny here, and I love the Easter egg, like of showing when they were basically human action figures, and we see the different costumes of
Wonder Woman.
eras.
Yeah,
Yes.
they even have one with the TV movie, and I would go, oh, as soon as I saw that, I rewound it. I'm like, did I see that correctly? Am I like,
right?
That tells me again that whoever's behind this, by the way, Britt, I hope you noticed one of the names behind the episodes that we watched is Jeremy frickin' Adams.
Right, yeah. I did.
So whenever you see Wonder Woman being respected, it's kind of funny how that's the other name that you see. Wonder, but anyway, yeah, and I love where like we're like Cyborg's like, Batman, you know about this game too, and then Batman goes, Robin plays it on the Bat computer.
That's a shame. We never got to see Robin, I don't think.
Yeah, watch it be like Damian, and it's like a more comedic version of the Bloody Robin. But it's like with this, I like where like also they announce their moves whenever they do it. It's like super punch, wonder kick. And I go, okay, that's because I watched like there's this Avengers anime called Future Avengers, Britt, and it's like beforehand they all announce their moves. Like Captain America goes, shield throw of justice.
Oh my god, it's so corny.
Yeah, I know it really is. But on that, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cool, and it's the way it's like a cyborg episode, but featuring but featuring the more well-known characters. So it's kind of cool.
Right.
So then we get to episode 12, the one that we really wanted, that actually started this. So the date episode, and can I say, I love this where it goes, where Clark goes. It seems Lois has X-ray vision because she just just sees right through me. And then I love where Diana goes, yeah, Steve Trevor just wants to date Wonder Woman. No one wants to date Diana. And I go, in a world where we have endured 23 to 24 issues of a run that's basically worshiping Steve Trevor, it feels so good to see that a-hole dragged across a spiky road.
But what's so funny is that, like, how would you not want to date Diana Prince? I mean, even
yeah, I know. I'm like, she's still hot.
it's like even that episode, I think it was with Firestorm or Booster Gold, whichever one it was. But when the Trinity lost their had amnesia and they were in civilian clothes, I'm like, what? How is this Diana Prince? Like,
Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't you want to date Diana? She's still hot and nice. That's a winning combination, bro. Like, what are you doing?
but again, it's
yeah, okay.
but again,
hmm
yeah, but again, it's still very much the Silver Age and or the Golden Age, you know. And yeah, but it's also the fact that we never saw Steve, which we don't care to. He just was
trust
brought
me.
up.
Also, how great is it that the episode that has Wonder Woman and Superman being attracted to each other is called Repulse?
You know, that's a negative word, so I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, but it's interesting, but it kind of goes with the idea that, like, see, I kind of took this as obviously someone watching this in hindsight. It's like the Repulse, like, nanobot. So basically the way this works is that Lex Luthor creates like nanobots that when they latch onto you, they repel everything from you. So in this reminded me like Lex represents DC editorial, trying to keep Superman and Wonder Woman apart. And I love where she's like fighting with Hawkman, and she's fighting that robot. She goes, "I haven't even gotten kissed yet, or haven't even gotten a cannoli." And then Hawkman's like, "Wait, what?"
Right. Okay. So I can see that now. Yeah, that is very meta commentary then of
Yeah,
DC
exactly.
editorial.
Yeah, exactly. But it's but the more of this that I do like, it's, and I also like at the end. So Superman gets covered in the nanobots, and he's like being the I'm going to call him Repulse, whatever. So he grabs Lex Luthor, and they're about, because his idea is that he's going to fly near a black hole, and the force of the black hole is going to pull all the nanobots away, which it works, but then they're stuck there. And and then I love the timing. Lex goes, "What are we gonna do?" And then Superman goes, "Pray for a miracle." And here she comes now. And then the lasso of truth comes down, and I go, "Yep, there you go. She is your miracle, Superman."
Yeah, I love that. And the fact that Diana was that strong to showing that she could pull
Oh yeah, that's
Cal
true.
out of the black hole.
I just
Like,
realized that. Yeah, she is ridiculously strong if she could do that.
yeah, that was just, you know, a very fun episode. And what's funny is that the voice actress for Diana, Rachel Kimsey, she tried to be diplomatic when they had the interview um, before the show really, took off. And she was saying that there are some people who like Clark and Lois and Diana Steve. And at that point, though, no one was checking for Steve. So, for her to bring it up, of course, she just saying in the traditional way of
Mhm.
relationships. Um, she also said there are some people that like Aquaman and Diana. There's also people who like, of course, Wonderbat. And she, like I said, she was trying to be very diplomatic, but she said that she really cares for Diana first, and
There you
then
go.
the relationship aspect can come later. But at the same time, it's still just fun to explore. And what's so funny too is this relationship is debated about a lot, even amongst eternally within DC. And and we will get to that part later because the Superman voice actor, he said that within that when they were going over the script and everything like that and just ideas, it was something that was debated. Even Jeremy Adams, I think, was the one that wrote this episode, and even um, on Twitter, he did have a problem with it because he is a Wonderbat fan. So he actually did try to make a fuss a little bit. Um, you know, so yeah, that it just depends on preference. But when this episode came out, the Close fans did turn like, you know, if you saw Gremlins, that's
Oh
basically what they
my
turned into.
God.
That's basically what they turned into when this episode aired.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. This is our 104th episode, and I'm gonna tell you this for 104th episodes. I just love Britt's turns of phrases. She goes, "Have you ever seen Gremlins? It's like that." Oh my gosh.
They were. I mean, they were.
I mean, look at how they cheated Jen Bartel when she was drawing Immortal Wonder Woman. Well, actually, no, it wasn't Immortal Wonder. It was Wonder Woman 800.
Yes. I mean, they were going off on anyone that had association to Justice League Action. They were hunting them down. And yeah. So like I said, anyone who know the reference of the Gremlins, go look that up. If you don't, go watch a clip and you will see that is exactly how close fans act. And so they even tried to attack Gal, when she reposted um a it was a very innocent, fan art. And just because she reposted from me, they went off on that. Even saying that at the time she was pregnant with her second daughter. So one of them even said that she didn't understand what she was doing, or she's not like in her right mind because she's pregnant, and that's why she made the mistake of reposting me.
And that is called culty behavior.
Very culty and I mean, the mental gymnastics, they will definitely win the gold medal for mental gymnastics, for sure.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I'm like, guys, and they called Snyder fans a cult. That's the funny part about this. But anyway, so this episode is really cool. I really like it. And again, this is basically, and Britt, it's very good. I like that you brought up Justice League 12 earlier, because this is pretty much the animated version of it, because the conversation that they have is pretty much the exact same, where they talk about how it's hard for us to be in relationships because people see the costumes and they don't see us. But it's nice to be with someone that wants to be with Clark, that wants to be with Diana.
Exactly. And again, we'll get to that. The quote from Jason Lewis, who he understands Clark and Cal and Superman as, that whole character, because I believe he was adopted, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
I think he was. I will have to look that up, so don't quote me on it yet. But if he was, he still understood though just the whole message of being a child of different worlds, or and trying to find yourself, who you really are, or being comfortable with that of I belong to a multitude of homes. Even if one is destroyed, I'm still rooted within it. So for him to understand the character like that, I definitely appreciate that from him, because it's a rarity to get a voice actor or a creator, that wants to give us a a Superman who is, you know, equal within loving both his Kent side and his L side. I mean, look, now that we have a movie that's demonizing his L side, and we have to now just accept that, oh, he's just Clark Kent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's cool to see that. So tell me about the episode Luthor in Paradise.
Okay, so this episode is Cersei and Luthor team up to get the power of Zeus, and they infiltrate Paradise Island, the Mascara. Um, at first, with Cersei, she trapped Diana in like a rock formation thing.
Hmm.
So Cal and Bruce go to the island and to save Diana in that sense of just letting her out the rock thing. But they also got the distress call trying to help her, you know. So when Cal tries to introduce himself, but also say that they are friends with Diana and just here to help. Um, Hippolyta turns and she's like, Diana, who's this? Who are these men, on the island? And Diana says, they're my sidekicks. That was the funniest thing. And the fact that, yeah, this is after Clark and Diana's date. So she looks, so it's two instances. I think it's really quick that Diana kind of side eyes Cal, before she says something. So within this instance, she says, yeah, they're my sidekicks. And so again, Diana, she takes lead, within this, and Cal and Bruce basically have to just go with it. Um, I'm pretty sure in DCAU that wouldn't have happened. Um, then they go into this weird realm, and there's this serpent thing, and Diana slaps the serpent and points for it to go. It is so funny, but
He was adopted.
see, so he understands. It really takes someone that basically understands, whether it is adoption or it is immigration, to write Cal and Diana's relationship, but also feel comfortable writing both of them, but mostly, Cal, as basically all three of his personas,
There you
and
go.
understand how to balance it out.
Hmm.
So that puts even more weight on the quotes that we will talk about coming up.
All right. So yeah. Well, I would hope that Diana would take the lead in an episode that deals a lot with Themyscira.
Right, right. But like I said, we have been scorned. So, you never know. But this episode was really fun, especially with them finally defeating Lex and Cersei, and just those little moments, like I said, of Diana saying that Cal and Bruce, are her sidekicks. And that's basically what we think of the Trinity for ourselves, even though the Trinity isn't that way for DC, just for us to have that moment, that I appreciate that.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
and then I think the other instant where Diana says something about like men being arrogant or something, but she
Mhm.
kind of side eyes Cal, and it's like it's basically like she's saying, I don't mean you, but it's just a natural thing to say that men are arrogant.
And you notice she leaves Bruce out of that, so I guess she's calling Bruce arrogant.
Well, yeah, that goes to the episode when they had amnesia and Bruce was trying to flirt. He says, "I'm, Bruce Wayne, billionaire," and then he says, "You are," and she says, "Not interested."
Ah, suck it, Bruce Tim. Anyway, So then we get Rage of the Red Lanterns, which, by the way, the image of Diana just standing there with the lasso like that is just so kick ass.
Exactly.
That's as cool as in any like sword and sorcery movie where people walk around with two swords on the back of their head like that. That just looks so badass.
Yes, Diana having the lasso of truth like that, that is, again, they have these moments within this show that, okay, we should definitely have this in comics more. Or if it was to be in something like DCAU, why wasn't this thought of before? You know, just anything like that. That is why we appreciate this this version of the Justice League and this version of Diana.
Yeah, exactly. And I like seeing all the Red Lantern shown, like Atrocitus, and like so Britt, do you have any questions as to the Red Lantern cat?
I do want to know where that cat came from, but at the same time, I would say that it makes sense for a cat to be a Red Lantern. I would say that really does make sense.
Dexter's origin, if I remember correctly from Rage of the Red Lanterns, which is actually the title of the comic. So his owner was killed in a home invasion or something like that. And the burglars picked him up, threw him in a sack and threw him off the bridge. But as he was like descending into the water, the Red Lantern ring showed up and said, "You have great rage in your heart." Then Dexter tracked down those two criminals and murdered them.
Yeah, that's cat behavior.
Yeah. If you piss off a cat, it's like they will follow you, sir.
That is cat behavior. I mean, you do something, honestly, you rub them the wrong way and they will be plotting against you within seconds. So, yeah, that is very tragic, but at the same time, very cat behavior.
Yeah, exactly. And then he became basically the sidekick of Atrocitus. So you always see Atrocitus and Dexter. He even has the Red Lantern ring is like on his tail. And so you have that. And it's also kind of cool seeing Lobo here in this episode. Again, they bring in so much really cool, like, different versions of these characters.
Right. It was also funny, I guess, is that Atrocitus that he looks like a overgrown beach ball?
No. That is, I think his name is Vrox. Hang on. I know exactly who you're talking about. Okay. Red Lantern Vrox. So that is, hang on. I'm trying to like find that one. I can't remember the character's name, but I know exactly who you're talking about. No, Atrocitus is the one that was like giving all the orders. He was like the more thin one that like everyone called Master.
Oh, okay.
His origin actually is that, so before the Green Lanterns, the Guardians had the Manhunters, which were essentially Terminator robots that were designed to like enforce justice. Now, because they're robots, they have a more absolutist form of justice. So what they did is they wiped out Atrocitus' space sector, and that was sector 666. That's clever how they went with that. And killed Atrocitus' whole family. So out of his rage, he manifested on the planet of Eastmalt the Red Lantern of Rage. And the interesting thing about that, you can't just take off a Red Lantern ring, because once a Red Lantern ring gets onto your finger, it replaces your heart. In other words, your heart stops beating.
Right. Which, of
it's
course,
like I did that in the Shelterverse. Remember, chapter 1.
Exactly.
That's essentially what that is. The only way to get it off without is you have to have a blue lantern there, because a blue lantern can like purify you of the Red Lantern like essence, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So okay, I'm trying to find who that Red Lantern
His name is Zox. Yeah.
Zox. Essentially, yeah, it's Zox. And there's even a Green Lantern like counterpart for him. But yeah, so he's basically, think of him as like the lackey of Atrocitus. He's like he's the kiss ass.
Oh, so an overgrown beach ball.
yeah, essentially that. That's essentially that is. But yeah, he's really funny. I think there was like an episode of this where like I think Wonder Woman hit him, and then he like bounced off the walls and sounded like a pinball machine.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there was that. So the Red Lanterns are actually really a really cool concept. So then we get to the inside job where Superman basically gets infected with a nano virus that's draining him of his powers. So Batman, the Atom, and Wonder Woman have to go inside Superman. Now, here's the interesting thing that I was thinking here. I'm looking this up because I need to like I want to verify this because the interesting thing about this character. Okay, so the interesting thing about this character when he was in like Just is as I thought. I'm trying to look this up, but I'm like, because hang on, he's voiced by a very interesting individual. Yes, he is voiced by Superman from the DCAMU.
Really?
I'm like, when I was listening to this episode, I'm like, I know that voice from somewhere. It's like it was driving me crazy. And then it's like when I heard him say, have a few tone of voices and a turn of phrases, and I'm like, that is Superman. So that's kind of cool how that rhymes. And then obviously here we get the other reference. So they go inside Superman's like nose. That's their entry point. And I love where Adam goes, well, this sure is awkward. And then Wonder Woman goes, if you think it's awkward, I'm the one dating him.
And then he's like, "What?" She said, "Nothing." So
I love that.
Their relationship is very low key, but it's still, again, you have those selfless moments within it that it's like, okay, yeah, they are still together. Like I said, we don't have to have moments where it's just full on like romantic because it is a full cast. They have, a lot of characters to get to and everything like that. But just those small moments, even the ones where it's like in a blink of an eye, you can miss it, but if you are paying attention, it's right there in your face. Just those types of things. Again, we appreciate that because it is acknowledgement of their relationship.
Yeah, exactly. And again, this is the part that I want to emphasize. Wonder Woman at no point becomes a like accessory of Superman. And honestly, that whole argument, I don't necessarily blame people for that, Britt. Here's why. I think people are just reacting to like when she's with Batman, when she's with Steve, she is like regressed into that. So I understand people having that concern. Now, doesn't mean I agree with it, but I understand the motivation from which that like arises, if you will.
Oh yeah, we understand the concern, and we have the same concerns. It's just the fact that you're placing that concern on something that has not been proven.
If anything, the opposite has been proven.
Right. If anything, I mean, yeah, you do have like Injustice or something, but at the same time, Injustice, that was a Batman and Superman
slugfest. But did you see that like Tom Taylor got pissy that like CBR called Injustice mid?
I mean, it is.
It's less than mid. Let's be clear on that. It's very less than mid. It's like what's like lower than mid? Low? I guess low. It's low. How's that? It's low.
I mean, a lot of Taylor's work, it's not. He boosts himself up, which of course he's supposed to do, but let's be real. His work is not just something grand at all.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so then we get to the next episode. Now this one, this is the other thing I really like. Compare this with DCAU. This one had many episodes that focus on like Wonder Woman's overall mythology. Like in this one, it involves like the gods Luthor in Paradise involved the gods and Cersei and such. And in this one, this is why I wanted to make sure we included this one, because originally this was not in the show notes, but I want to include this one because it includes it's the theme of this episode is duty first. And that almost sounds like a certain statement that Wonder Woman says about her relationship with Superman in Doom. Britt,
Exactly.
Can you remind the fine people at home what that phrase is?
The world comes first.
Exactly. It's like when Green Arrow was saying, if you don't want to go, you don't have to. And then she goes, it's not about what I want, Oliver. It's about what my duty is.
Yeah. Jim is definitely a Wonder Woman fan. Like,
oh yeah. My theory, by the way, Britt, is Athena never intended for Diana to be the goddess of truth. This was just a test for Diana, for her to see, for Athena to see how devoted to her duty is Wonder Woman.
I mean, of course, we see that Diana is. I would say that she's devoted in a way that maybe hurts her,
in some ways, yeah.
She sacrifices so much, and of course she's not doing anything for kudos or whatever, but it's still the fact that she loses her personal life, choices that she should be making about her life, but her work does dictate that, and also her happiness. Like, where does it go? And she does have that happiness of seeing, everyone protected, everyone at peace. But that is the world's happiness. What about her happiness,
Yeah, exactly. And it's like in this, no, she's willing to put her happiness aside, directly refuting the Tom King issue where she goes, she loves Steve more than the world. Ha!
Man, first of all, Steve is a very bland man to be doing all that for. Like, this, he is very much a self-insertion for Tom King, because no character like that would, no. Not even, he is basically turning Diana into the Wonder Woman version of Injustice Superman plus Injustice Wonder Woman. Like, combining the two.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was secretly inspired by Injustice.
I mean, he was inspired by 84, so...
That explains so much in that. You're inspired by the worst Wonder Woman movie. That gives me loads of confidence.
Right.
But anyway, so Trouble, I love this episode, and that's another reason why I really wanted to make sure this was included. But I love how Athena has a battle mode that's basically like Spartan Athena, and I go, oh, that's dope. And the owl, the robotic owl follows around. I also love when she's hitting on Batman, and Batman's like, it's really crowded up here. By the way, Kevin Conroy, no surprise, is fantastic in this. It's cool seeing him voice Batman in both shows, because it's like I like him more in this.
He seemed like DCAU will always be like his niche.
Yeah, sure.
But this just seemed much more relaxed, though.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's also cool because a lot of the DCAU is still like darkish Batman and stuff, but with this, it's his lines are funnier when they're contrasted with a universe that's not as serious.
Right, and it's kind of like he's unintentionally funny.
That's the proper way to write Batman. He's funny without being funny. Speaking of funny. So isn't it kind of funny how not only does Superman have a crush on Wonder Woman, but so does Superman's backwards clone?
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, they certainly have a Super Wonder agenda on this. That's great. And I love this one because it's like, so basically the plot of this one is Bizzaro shows up, wants a date with Wonder Woman. So she goes mini golfing with him and then is constantly trying to ditch him so she can go fight Amazo. And I love where Bizzaro shows up, and Amazo so the way Amazo works is that he like if he's close to you, he can like copy all the Justice League powers. So what they do is that he copies Bizarro's powers, but then copies his like stupidity and like crush on Wonder Woman, and then it's like he like retreats, and it's like Bizzaro wants to join the Justice League, but Batman's like, okay, so here's the way you join the Justice League: stay right here while we swear you in. And the Bizarro's like, no, and then just flies away because it's like the opposite, and
Right.
Batman goes, problem solved.
It was still very cute because yeah, the clone of Clark loves Diana. It's so funny.
Yeah, exactly. That gives me another idea. So you keep giving me great ideas, Britt. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly. It's the reason why I have 80,000 points. So
The shade. But I'll let you have it.
hey, how's it feel? Second place.
I'll let you have it.
I'm only kidding, of course. I'm only kidding. But yeah, so this episode kind of fun. I also like how like the voice acting for Amazo is actually very terrifying. I like how he's a little bit more like intelligent and less robotic like. I really dig that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I love where he goes, I'll get the smartest person in Space Cabbie, but you really mean he means the dumbest person. That's just so good. See, Bizzaro can be like really used really well by someone that, again, they clearly understand these characters because they know how to like properly use how comedic Bizzaro can be if you properly like utilize him, if you know the character.
Right.
So then the last episode we're going to talk about is, okay, Superman Red, Superman Blue. Okay, so Britt, do you know what this is a reference to?
Yes. Actually, Superman.
Yeah.
When he well, I wanted to say that it was Reborn, but it was
Not quite.
another Superman story.
So, okay, there have been a couple of times when they've done Superman Red, Superman Blue. First was like, I think Golden or Silver Age, where like it was just a red and blue version of Superman, I think. The one that I think that's a reference to. So back when he had his electric blue powers, at the end of it, there was a period where he split into two beings, and they were both arguing all the time. It was so hilarious. And again, Robert and I covered the entire Electric Blue saga. But what's funny about it is I got to the point where like even Lois was upset, and this is a few times I'll go, yeah, Lois is justified being upset. It's like, and I made the comment on that episode that if Superman was with Diana, eventually she'd get like fed up, wrap them in the lasso, and go, okay, until you guys resolve your issues, you're not going anywhere. I can't take this anymore.
Yeah, honestly, I think Diana would definitely do. Yeah.
But it's like in this, I like how the red version is like everyone's like basically the Injustice versions of their characters.
That's true.
They're basically they're like, we're gonna conquer and kill everyone. Now here's the thing. I really, really, really dug how this episode ends. Because so Luthor gets hit with the beam and separates into a red and blue. Now the red and blues, the reds are basically the inverse of the different heroes. And what's the inverse of evil? Good. So the red Lex Luthor's the good guy. It's like their worst tendencies, and Lex Luthor's worst tendency is being a good guy. So when that happens, literally, Britt, when I was watching that episode today, I was like, oh, it would be really cool if they do this. Oh, they're doing it. They're doing it. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, this is so well done. Of course, the inverse of evil Lex is good Lex, to the point where Green Arrow goes, you know, a good Lex Luthor can do some really good in the world. And then Red Lex goes, yeah, but what is more heroic than making the ultimate sacrifice? And I go, crying cat gif. By the way, Britt, fun fact, the voice actor for Lex Luthor is the same that voiced Owlman in Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, James Woods.
Oh, well, you know, this is basically when they started slashing, the budgets for
Mhm.
animation. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the voice actors were um reoccurring from other, animated features.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but Britt, I also love where like Lex is being like held by like the Blues, and the Blues are like, I got you a pillow and some blankets, and we got some tapenade from our last potluck.
Yes, Clark and Diana's blue energy or whatever was they were actually adorable, though, annoying, being so nice, but they were adorable.
Even Red and Blue Batman, because Blue Batman is like, It's so good, it's so nice to meet you. I'm a big fan, Batman." This episode was just so well done, and it's just the way it ends with Lex. I'm harping on that because that is like one of the most deep endings. That's the thing about this show. You would think it's not that deep for being like quote unquote for being like a more light version of Justice League Unlimited, but when they do episodes like this is like, oh wow, you really like nailed it.
Understand exactly.
It's and again, it's like the idea of like what's the opposite of an evil Lex, good Lex. That is fantastic. Now, which of these episodes, Britt, is your favorite?
I would say episode 12,
Oh
and
yeah,
of course, and also Paradise Island, because um Luthor in Paradise, because just the interaction with Hippolyta, and to show Diana take lead from the Trinity actually being, who she's supposed to be within the Trinity. I really appreciate that, and that she she isn't supposed to be just the third wheel for the world's finest.
yeah, exactly. With me, I'm gonna put Superman Red, Superman Blue up there because of like the fantastic way it's written. But my favorite, honestly, is The Trouble with Truth, because of how it like demonstrates Diana's like devotion to her duty to the gods and stuff. And she goes, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll come with you willingly, but at least just let me like catch high first, and then I'll come with you because it's my duty." And I go, "So good."
Right. I mean, it's a lot of, episodes or just little moments within whatever episode that it's really appreciated, because, yeah, we have so much of Diana being Diana.
Exactly. So then we get to the voice actors and Jim Krieg particularly, because all three of these people clearly understand their characters. Like, it is staggering. Like, when I was reading these quotes and I was putting the PowerPoints together, I was like, I I have never heard an animated voice cast that got that like understood the core of their characters so well.
Right.
Like we'll start with Jason Lewis, and again, it's like, for first off, he understands Clark like being like a adopted kid, and then the other thing is like where when he got the role of Superman, he goes, well, what am I gonna really bring to this character, because there's been so much stuff, and then he goes, it seemed like they really wanted to get in touch with the Kansas farm boy, the purity of who he was, the fun of who he was, and I realized I could do that. That is me, and that is a lot of who I am. I don't have to veer too far off course to make that character come to life. And I go, yeah, there you go. You get it. There you go.
Exactly. And also, again, it's not a self-insertion in that way of, oh, I can be this. No, he's actually feeling the character as, you know, something that he has dealt with within growing up. And it puts, like I said, it puts a lot more weight into it. The fact that he was adopted, so he understands the feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not only that, it's like, remember, he said that's like when he got Superman, he's like, The not self-insertion part is him going, what can I bring to this? It's not like, what can I force into this character? No, it's like, what do I have that can make this character, that can make my version of this character unique, but still consistent with the character?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
like that is how you do it. Now, this is self-insertion gone right, because you take the portions of yourself that the character does represent to a certain degree, like the adoptedness, and put them in the character. I also like the way he talks about the Superman Wonder Woman relationship, where he also I'm trying to find the beginning of the quote. So he goes, he also believes that Superman's outcast quality is something that he and Wonder Woman, voiced by Rachel Kinsley, share, which is why it makes sense that they bond so easily on the show. Yes, of course, I asked him about the Superman Wonder Woman romance. How could I not? He laughed about how the relationship has been the subject of much debate. Well, that's an understatement. While confessing that he loves the choice, thinking it's so much fun. This is all the fact that he is one of the few voice actors for the character that is so open with, like, yeah, I like it.
Because again, he understands the character. He understands the position that the character is put in, and based the story of what it's trying to tell. And Diana should be very much part of that story. They should be a part of both of each other's story. You know, like I said earlier, Cal is the anti Zeus and Hercules. So he represents a man of power, a man with power that should be humbled, that should be respectful, that should be an ally, or if he is a romantic interest, he is supposed to help Diana, you know, and support her.
Exactly.
What I love, or what we all love really about Perez Run, that was something that he wanted to, it felt like that's what he was trying to get at. You know, with Cal, he was kind of putting Diana on a pedestal. Um, and he was, it was also that, you know, admiration for her. And especially when she died, and he was saying he loved her eyes, and that's basically how innocent they were, and you know, her beauty, and that's what made him, you know, almost, or he did fall in love with her. And that is, and then with having the interview, I think in the in one of the issues, and he was saying that he doesn't think any man, you know, would be worthy of Diana, not just himself, and how he felt that even he wasn't deserving of her. That is a much better, you know, handling of a man that has so much admiration for a woman than what Tom King wrote for Steve, saying that she was his miracle, not Hippolyta's. That that any other man doesn't have a chance with Diana, not because of putting her on a pedestal, because he thinks that he wrote it in a way where it's like Steve is basically being possessive of Diana, whereas Clark, he actually has a respect for her to say no man is deserving of you because you deserve so much better, you deserve so much more, you know. um
Exactly.
and
Also, I love him talking about Cal, because that's also another point. And some people take issue with Diana calling him Cal, but I like the way he calls it. He goes, calling the character Cal, of course, sounds like it comes out of a story of Kingdom Come, or perhaps the Silver or Bronze Age, where Krypton played a major day-to-day role in Superman's life. But Lewis says, I think Clark is exactly who he is. I think I like to reference him as Cal because I think there's a part of him that yearns for home. He's always looking for his place in the world, but I think he's very much embraces Clark and who he is. But by Injustice Action, he is more Cal than he is Clark, in the sense that we see more of him as Superman than we do as Clark Kent.
which we do, but at the same time he is still very much Clark, though, you know. um it's both. It's a balance. It's a
Mm-hmm.
balancing act. And again, that is what Diana brings to him. That he doesn't have to choose one way, you know, or over the other with her. With Lois is, am I human enough? I have to have the 9 to 5 Daily Planet. I have to act like a bubbling, glute idiot for a moment, you know, um, to either put her ahead or just to lower myself, to feel like I'm fitting in. With Diana, she pushes him to be both. She admires and loves and respects the humbleness of him as the boy from Kansas, but she also, again, loves the fact that being a man of power, he is that humble, though, that he does have this heart of gold. And that is what the character is supposed to be. Why is that so hard? And why do we have such a rarity of this kind of characterization or just this outlook of the character? Is because of the uncreativeness and the laziness to have these characters so simplified. And for Jason to positively talk about not only the that both sides are equal as his identity and give praise to both identities, but the fact that he gave praise to his relationship with Diana and truly understanding what it means, and that again is a rarity that we really don't have.
Exactly. So then we get to the GOAT, Jim Craig, because consistently, whenever there's a amazing depiction of Diana, whether or not it comes to the Tomorrowverse or like this man is involved, which is why again, Craig, if somehow you've been you watched the entire thing, please come on our show. But you can definitely tell, like you said, Britt, that Jim is a massive Wonder Woman fan based upon how much of a central role she plays in stories where it's not necessarily her story, like in Crisis, where it's like it's a Crisis on Infinite Earths movie, but he somehow makes it in many ways a Wonder Woman story. So the cool part about this is like he essentially turned the Tomorrowverse kind of into a Wonder Woman animated series when you think about it.
Well, yeah, the war the Justice Society movie was supposed to be a Wonder Woman animated show. And having Diana stuck in the 40s is just tiresome. I can't stand it. So it's very much a godsend the fact that it didn't turn into a show, because you would have, a new generation thinking, oh, Diana's old as dirt and needs to be in wartime. No. Um, so I'm very glad that that changed, and it could be just an Earth to, you know, adaptation, movieverse, and she is an immortal goddess. As I said, I don't like the wartime thing where she's old as dirt in present day. I would rather for it to be um, that she's born or in present day, and then let her immortal goddess whatever go forward from there.
Mm-hmm.
That works better. But he did say that in Tomorrowverse that he is a big Wonder Woman fan and that he wanted to give her that respect, and that
It
she
shows.
just everything about her character is so interesting to him. So yeah, again, it's such a rarity to have creatives talk about Diana like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like at no point does Diana ever feel subservient to the other male characters. If anything, it's the opposite. They seem subservient to her and take their cues from her, which I'm like, that's a very like that's a nice change of pace, if I may say so myself.
Exactly. I mean, she is the one that um, inspired Earth 2 Superman to become Superman.
And let's not forget, she saves the whole goddamn multiverse.
That too, she creates a new verse. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's like when you love Wonder Woman so much like that, it forever is like very very good here. And he says what I loved about the Superman Wonder Woman romance is that you really see these two people that I think have been outcast in many ways, and they're searching for identification with each other. He says they wrote that very subtly into the script. Lewis has nothing to say nothing but praise for his co-star. Yeah, so it's like that's when like that again tells you why Lewis really gets the characters and why everyone involved in this. So really, you could think of Lewis, Kimsey, and Krieg as the holy trinity of DC when you think about it. They're the real DC trinity
of understanding Diana. Yes, very much so.
Yeah, like it is. It never. That's again. Here's the thing: when people say Wonder Woman's hard to write for, I count that as lazy because here's why: you have too many people that do it easily. Too many people that are like, no, here's how she's supposed to be. And spoiler alert, they're the versions of the character that everyone loves. Funny how that works.
Exactly.
It's like this isn't that hard. And it's like also the other thing that is kind of funny, you have it on a point. Whenever Krieg is in charge, Superman and Wonder Woman at the very least are very close friends. Which Britt and I've said, even if they're just close friends, like and they acknowledge their like relationship as friends, we're fine with that. I mean, the romance part is a nice bonus, but as long as you respect this relationship that is decades in the making, whether or not that be platonic or romantic, yeah, I'll take it.
Exactly. And yeah, it shows how like I said, Jeremy Adams, I believe he is the one that wrote the Repulse episode, and he wanted to push for Wonder Bat. He did because of DCAU only. And he got pushed back because it was that Clark and Diana are closer. You know, within the source material of comics, Clark and Diana are close. And yeah, whether they are best friends or it evolves into a romance, that is their relationship. DCAU was only because they didn't want Clark and Diana close for the shipping and thinking that shallow, oh, this is a quarterback and cheerleader type thing when if you want to degrade Diana in that way. Let me take that back because being a cheerleader is not degrading. So the whole insult of or trying to make it an insult of a quarterback and cheerleader just does not make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
It really doesn't. That definitely sounds like loser nerd behavior that has resentment for the popular kids, if anything.
Oh, and by the way, our whole thing about them pushing Wonder Woman with Batman because they didn't want people to ship with Superman, that's not us like theorizing that. They've literally said that in the documentaries about the DCAU.
Right. And I mean, how about if you didn't want her to be in a relationship with Cal, how about just let her be single and give her, other. Why does it have to focus on romance?
Well, not only that, you do realize people still ship her with Superman, right? You didn't actually do what you wanted to do.
Right. So it's kind of like and also that's very much a dictatorship. Like,
yeah,
you're trying to dictate, what someone likes or whatever. And your first thing also is to put her with Batman because you think that's better, but you have no respect for her at all.
Well, and remember, Britt, it's like these are the people. It's the same type of edit. Well, actually, these are the same people where it's like they push Lois in Death of Superman because they go, no, you should like this. And I go, but I don't know if you know how this works, but in a business, you don't get to take away products and tell the audience, no, you should want this. No, if the audience wants something, you do it.
Exactly. I mean, that's really, again, it's a dictatorship because who are you to tell me what to like?
Well, and remember, Britt, how'd that work out? Remind the audience, how'd that work out for the DCAMU? I'm pretty sure it went swimmingly for them.
Exactly. The blindsiding of getting blindsided by WB is and how salty James Tucker was, it was like a definite that's what you get. Because
And mind you, the blindsidedness that Britt's talking about and the whole doing stuff off screen, when I look at criticisms of the Death of Superman movie, that is one of the common ones that comes up. It's like everyone's like, even people that didn't like the relationship, they're like, wait, what?
right, because it just happens. They just and the thing is how James Tucker was being so spiteful that he wanted a whole movie dedicated to them breaking up. Like, how do you come up with, oh, I'm gonna make a whole movie for them to break up? So you're gonna make them unlikable. So the Death of Superman scene, especially with Clark just turning into a full blown antagonist towards Diana, to act like he did not have any feelings towards her and it was just this Lois obsession. I mean, even for him to say he wants to be called Superman just because Lois named him that. I mean, that is so like egotistical and so just he was not humble at all,
Mm-mm.
within this. And that's the thing.
And
You
also,
are
again, I have to emphasize this. So they were dating for so many years, and you're telling me she's never seen him without his glasses on?
right.
That doesn't work. Again, it's like if you want to undo it, fine, but don't do it so lazily.
And sloppy. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
none of that made sense. He was much more truthful with Diana. He was much more cool and just had this laid back type attitude. He wasn't the bumbling idiot. He wasn't, I mean, they even when they adapted Hush, he got basically cooked from Bruce, and that's what James Tucker wanted. He wanted for there to be some type of point where Clark gets embarrassed, for of course with Bruce, but also just the relationship with Lois. It was easier for them to do, and then you do bloodlines and force her with Steve and say that Steve is the most important person to her in the world or she only cares about him, and you ruin her relationship with Vanessa and Julia, and then you ruin her relationship with Hippolyta. While yes, her and Hippolyta did like make up at the end, it was very like only because Diana blinded herself. And also, you take a lot of Diana's best stories that ironically had Cal in them, as a support or whatever, and you try to force Steve in and you try to throw Diana, like, for her to, again, Cal and Diana were written as such these like antagonistic towards each other, and it didn't make them look like likable characters because the fact that on one side you had Diana say that she doesn't fly with Cal anymore and she wants to fly with Steve, so you're basically doing the whole power thing of flying. Like, that is so, like, what does that have to do with being romantic if you're flying? That doesn't make any sense. um and then with Cal, he wants to be called Superman. Very egotistical, macho, Captain Save a Thought type mentality. You know, it, it was not romantic at all the way they wrote them in that sense of trying to make it seem like being with Lois and Steve is better. If you want to show Cal and Diana's humanity, is what we had with them, showing that they were lonely and misunderstood and they found solace in each other, that all they wanted was to have a nice quiet dinner at some point without people, having that pressure of people, or having that sort of extraordinary normalcy, together, that they can go see a movie and that Diana can learn about man's world culture. And then she has, not so much as I didn't like that sort of quote unquote lesson that she, did. And it was just a little play, but for her to experience something like that, and the fact that she experienced, going to the movies with Cal first, it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, this is the relationship that was really important and that was building. What exactly was being built with Lois and Clark or Diana and Steve? We
Zero.
did, you never saw anything like that. It was just, oh, they're the relationships by default. They are the traditional relationships. You had DCEU pushing Diana and Steve. You had comics undermining Clark and Diana's relationship for Convergence failure of Lois and Clark in the comics. So yeah, let's do that. And now look where DC is now. You have Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is a mess. You know her origin in
She's
the
been Tom
comics.
Kinged.
Tom King. You have a terrible sequel that's having the Steve Trevor obsession to where now her character is um, they they think that Diana is a an assaulter, you know. They and it ruined her image that fast, you know, with 1984. And then with a Superman, I would say that Gunn's movie is very overrated already, but
Mhm.
people are kind of like seeing the cracks. But I think that DC fans
More
were
will see
so,
them as it goes on, though.
yeah, I think DC fans were so desperate into wanting a good movie.
Yeah.
This movie was, it's very low bar. It's and like they say, you have to watch it a couple of times to end up actually liking it. You have to like kind of take you out of, you can't have expectations with this, you know, and it has to be something that you kind of like turn half your brain off and then to enjoy it and also watch it, like I said, a multitude of times to like it, to even like it. And that's the
Mhm.
one thing that I kind of like, I was confused by that with DC fans saying that because it's like, okay, why are you having such high praise for a movie that you have to watch a multiple
Well, and
times in order
remember,
to like
Britt,
it?
the DC fandom went super cope for this. Remember when they said, "Oh, it's okay if the suit's not that good. He'll change at the end of the movie." Ha ha ha. Or, "Oh, Gunn will retcon away evil Jor-El," even though he said, "Nope, he's not going to do that."
Right. It's a lot of coping and just honestly, I think that the coping again is because so many fans are scorned by DCEU.
Mhm.
So it's like they're grasping onto anything. I mean, that's fine if that's gonna help you, but don't oversell, you know. And this is a movie that they're overselling. But other than that, there has been like comic shops. Well, I don't know. It's kind of sparing, you know, but there are a few comic shops saying that there are more people like going into reading comics, which is good. It's
Mhm.
wonderful. But I honestly just think this probably like All Star because that is the story that Gunn promoted the most. So it's probably just All Star, some back issues of Superman, but it's not, definitely not the current stuff. We will see actually if there was an uptake on Superman stuff, probably next week actually.
Oh,
Um,
hopefully, and we'll also be able to laugh at Tom King's failure yet again.
exactly.
Anyway, so speaking of Wonder Woman, actually, so then we have the Wonder Woman voice actress. Now, again, what I like about Rachel's Wonder Woman in this series in action is that she's so, as I've said before, the characters in this are younger, or at least they're played to be younger. However, there is so her Diana has that innocence of being a younger woman, but she also has that, I hesitate to say hardened, but more like the maturity that Diana has. So somehow she balances the youngness with maturity, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Yes, she does.
And yes, isn't it kind of funny how the best voice actors support Superman and Wonder Woman being together? There you go. But yeah, and it's like, so Britt, what did you think of her like portrayal of Wonder Woman?
Yeah, she really got Diana down, you know, with personality. She's a free spirit. And when she's in a fight, she's not in a fight to go murder happy. She's more so to just take down the bad guy, you know. And also she did seem like at some point it did feel like you're watching Perez's version of Diana, you know, especially with Cal because she was such the firecracker, you know. Um, but she cared. You saw that she cared. She was there was some, you know, quotes where she was very wise. You can tell. So definitely blessed by Athena, blessed by the goddesses. Um, Obviously they didn't have the Zeus origin, so she had the clay origin. She had a good relationship with Hippolyta. That's a plus because Wonder Woman's story is, you know, the backbone is the mother and daughter dynamic. So having that really sets the bar. And just the way Rachel, um, she cared for the character, you know, and
Mhm.
she cared for Diana's independence first. Yeah, as we said, Cal and Diana's relationship is a bonus, but Diana's independence and her respect comes first.
Yeah. But and again, I just love her delivery. Like again, going back to that scene where Wonder Woman's fighting those Mongol troops, and then she just goes super like badass and suave. She goes, "Okay, so who's first?" I just love when Diana. I mean, I know that she's not going to like to choose like fighting as her first option, but I do enjoy it when Diana shows a little enjoyment for combat.
Yeah, I mean, she was raised to be a fighter, you know, and protect herself. So yeah, she has the elegance, but if she has to, she will throw hands. That is Diana.
Yeah, exactly. Particularly if you screw with Kal-El. But so we're going to contrast this with the DCAU portrayal of Wonder Woman. Now, again, before we talk about this, I love Kevin Conroy's Batman and everything like that. What I
Exactly, right.
what I will say though, just because I liked his portrayal of Batman doesn't mean he's right about everything. Because I'm going to bring this up here. This is a quote from Kevin. There's also a big new female audience in animation, and they're looking for more interesting characters for them. Wonder Woman is a wonderful superhero, but she's not very multidimensional, whereas Harley Quinn is just nuts and just has so many different qualities that's fun for female audience. So, okay, as opposed to like Wonder Woman, who is like the embodiment of feminism, female empowerment, you choose the nuts girl to highlight.
Exactly.
And
The murderer.
it's also the one that was created in your show.
Right. Yeah, and he also I forgot to add this in the notes, but I think he called Superman a square.
Yeah, he
And you
did.
know, and he also was talking about like his square jaw and stuff like that. Kind of like you do know that Bruce and Clark kind of like look alike, you know, when they're drawn on purpose. So Bruce has a square jaw too. So I'm not sure, you know, the insults that were tried with the DCAU cast and production. I'm kind of like, do you not know what you're saying? Because it's the same exact thing that you are praising and advocating for.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like the problem is now with Eisenberg as Wonder Woman. The problem is it's like again she see here's the thing. Why is it that the voice actors that people see as like the definitive voice actors are the ones that have the worst view of Wonder Woman?
Because Susan did not care to read Wonder Woman. Her whole thing was I believe on Twitter actually, she was like she has a crush on Batman herself. So
Ah,
Diana, of course, is a self-insertion. And then she said that Steve is a very distant second. Well, in the show, what are the so-called like potential romances or whatever that Diana has? It's her fawning over Bruce, and then Steve is in a flashback or time travel type thing, you know, as an old man or whatever, but had that. So that's all she could reference. And then with Cal and Diana's relationship, the only thing that she said is, "Oh, I like Christopher Reeve and Keeter." So that is why she's a big fan of that. So she just thinks as those versions of Lois and Clark, and that should be the only thing. So again, you're going based off of other adaptations or your own like view of things, but not the source material. And I don't think she ever like promoted Wonder Woman comics. It was only when like I remember when she was trying to celebrate that, you know, DC was canceling Superman and Wonder Woman, the book, and also the whole thing about their relationship. She was celebrating that. And then she, of course, with I think with Liam Sharp, she was trying to celebrate the Brave and the Bold book,
Oh.
thinking that that was something. And if I'm not she also celebrated the Injustice Tom Taylor thing where Clark's psychotic dream was Lois's president and Diana somehow is her secretary, and she's
So
married
so
to
she
Bruce.
so she celebrated Diana being a secretary again.
Well, she's the, you know, Secretary of State, but still, it was like Diana is still second to Lois. So, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
as long as and also the only thing that Susan ever talks about, she doesn't talk about Diana's independence or anything like Rachel did. She only talks about Diana being with Bruce. And the thing is, she says that she doesn't care about them being long term, or she doesn't see it as that. She just want her to like flirt and have a date with him.
Now,
That's it.
now I will say, here's the thing. Again, she has said that it was that the Wonder Woman Batman thing was never supposed to be an actual relationship. I think she even said it wasn't even supposed to be a date. It was just gonna be like flirting.
Which, I mean, that is just,
Which
so
again,
what's the
it's
point?
it's not better, but it's like
So if you have your main voice actors or voice actress even saying that it's basically nothing to it, it amounts to nothing, then
mhm.
why even keep pushing it? If you know that it doesn't amount to anything, you just want that um, that gratification, or you know, satisfy your self-inserted fantasy, which again, because she is a Batman fan, that's it. I mean, for her to only acknowledge just those, what, 3 or 4 scenes within that show, but she never acknowledges, I mean, Diana's relationship, or you know, whatever, with Shira was already antagonistic. She wasn't really a sister for her or anything. She didn't show sisterhood, but instead of advocating for that type of relationship, you are continuing to advocate for Diana and to be with Bruce. She even did that with Justice League versus the Fatal Five. I
Mhm.
believe Bruce Timm said that, or she said that she was nagging Bruce Timm about their relationship and saying that she wanted it in the movie. Um,
Well, it wasn't.
and they didn't even interact. I don't think.
No,
N-
no,
n-
actually, they didn't. That's the funny part.
Um, but he said he wasn't going to do it, I don't think, but I think that he kind of like offhandedly said, well, if this movie does good, then maybe. So she was really pushing for this movie to be successful so she can have, and if they were to have a Justice League versus Fatal Five like sequel or something, or the reunion, even her whole reunion campaign was she wanted Diana to be with Bruce at some point.
Hmm.
So her whole
Which
thing,
canonically that can't happen because he's alone in Batman Beyond.
Right. So the reunion thing was that even Kevin's, passing, she
Mhm.
also, yeah, she was very genuine on celebrating her friend and everything like that. But the way she still had to basically slide in Wonder Bat, and it's kind of like, have that you can put that to the side and just celebrate him as who he was. You don't
Mhm.
have to talk about the shit like that's just disrespectful. So
Mhm.
yeah, for you to
Plus, also add on to the fact that Wonder Woman in this universe is 18. I want to emphasize that.
right. So again, for you to be this influential voice actor for Diana, some people, you know, or it is that she's this the definitive voice actress for Diana, but your obsession is with another character, with Batman. And that really, again, you don't understand that Diana should not, as a feminist character, female empowerment or whatever, she should not be obsessed with any man, really. Like, no. Not even if she was with Cal, we would never accept Diana being obsessed with him.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the way it's supposed to work. But anyway, so in conclusion, a pretty solid animated show that respected the characters and showed that it's possible to do an animated show while making sure that like no character is felt like subservient to the other. And it's an interesting counter to the DCAU. And honestly, it's a series that needs to be talked about more.
Right. It does. It really does.
Yeah, and it's the idea that like in 11 so it was kind of funny is that all these creatives can go, I'll show you how to properly do a Diana in 11 minutes. That's it. That's all I need. Just give me 11 minutes. I'll show you how to properly do Diana.
Right. And honestly, DC needs to promote this more. They on the Wonder Woman Instagram page, they continue to post the same animated clips and the most hello fellow kids memes, you know, on the page, and it's so embarrassing. Could like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a vast library, of adaptations and stuff. And I know Diana doesn't have much, but at the same time, could you please give attention to what has actually been good for her?
No, they can't. They really can't because remember, all these people that are probably behind this page are DCAU fans.
They are Batman fans for sure. Batman fans and DCAU, yes, yes.
I'm just like, can you guys be a little more like not specific, but like selective on who you put in charge? No, the answer is no. But yeah.
Right.
So speaking of something that came out that some people were looking forward to, but all the Wonder Woman fans knew why this was a bad idea. So Phil Jimenez wrote a story that's basically revisiting the origins of Donna. And let me tell you this. So first, it screws with continuity. If you so all of a sudden Diana's father's gay now, which I'm like, where did that come from? Second off, Diana might as well be. Donna goes from guy to guy to guy to guy to guy in this. And what is it with Phil Jimenez that he constantly feels the need to self-insert crap into his books?
Not only that, but the fact that he had to, yeah, insert that Donna is supposed to be like the Americanized or the human. First of all, emphasizing human as if you are, on the mascara that you aren't human. I really can't stand any creator who disrespects the Amazons as not human women. I just don't like that because if you actually read the stories, which DC creators obviously don't read their own
Mm-hmm.
crap, the Amazons are reincarnated souls of human women, women of Earth who have been abused, who suffered, you know, whatever it might have been, and they were given or blessed with a second chance of life. And Themyscira is basically their safe haven. It's kind of like, if you want to make a comparison or whatever, it's kind of like the shelters, the women's shelters,
Hmm.
or um you have to simplify this stuff for people to understand what the purpose of Themyscira and everything else is. So, like the women's shelter, or the those safe houses, when women have been abused and stuff, that you can think of Themyscira as that, to where they are in this safe place, to learn self-defense, to have a life, as I said, a second chance of life, to be able to do what they have always wanted without fear. So, for anyone to disrespect the Amazons continuously as this, to say that they're not human just because they aren't in America or whatever. And that's the thing also, it feels like, um and this is really emphasized more on from the Superman movie, the fact that James Gunn changed the Superman motto to truth, justice, and the human way, which is his substitute for the American way. So basically, you're saying that humans must be American. And
Hmm.
again, no, 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 no. Humanity, having humanity, whatever, that is not just an American thing. Like, and Superman, again, you're contradicting yourself, because first you say Superman is American, and then you say he's an immigrant story. Which is it? Because you can't, you know, um, you can't market this as just this flag waving American poster boy type thing, that only America matters. But then you want to say, but he's an immigrant at the same time, when immigration and that whole story delves into a total different culture than the American culture.
And not only that, it's like with this. By the way, shout out to my friend George on Twitter, because they post really hilarious memes about this particularly. But the other thing is, like, I missed the part when the purple healing ray can give people powers. Like, that's how Donna got her powers.
I did not know that. That is very interesting, but a little weird to me, because I thought it was just the healing ray, like,
I thought it was just the
but
healing ray too. I'm like, when has it ever given people powers?
yeah, I think that's a little. It if it gave people powers in that case, wouldn't the Amazons have Diana's powers? When they use it.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And that's why it doesn't really work. And then it's like Donna going on Tinder and stuff, and I go, bro, it's again, it's like, for some reason this has Trevor Barnes energy written all over it.
And then you had the shadow of the um her Chucky baby with Terry Long. He
And you know what's kind of funny? I was talking to Troy J about this, and I'm like, isn't it kind of funny how whenever they give Donna or Diana kids, it goes horribly wrong?
Because honestly, it's telling a lot that they don't need kids. I mean, Diana, she can have kids, of course. We've seen that it can work, with Hyperman, her Kingdom Come Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have someone who, again, doesn't understand Diana's lore or anything like that, what Brian Hicks did, with you can end up with a hunter, where Diana was assaulted and then unalived herself. You know, that there's no in between. It's a one way or the hell way, basically. Then with Donna, um, having her have this affair with her teacher, with her professor, then have a baby, and they both die tragically, when the kid wasn't
Or
even.
or how about So Roy Harper going, Robs, you making a move on my girl, and then Donna goes, your girl, and then Roy goes, come on, the princess always ends up with the alpha.
Honestly, that reminded me of DCAU.
It also reminds me of Phil Jimenez saying, I want Wonder Woman to date Batman because she should be with the bad boy.
Right. Batman should not be in a Titans Donna Troy origin story. Um, you know, her relationship with Grayson, yeah, that works, but they are their own thing. That Donna doesn't even have a solid relationship with Diana. So Phil, of course, having Batman there was definitely his obsession with Batman. That's what that was. And then for Donna, the whole thing basically, first she mocks Hippolyta because Hippolyta is strict, but she's very loving. But that's not enough. Then she has it's basically like Donna is miserable on the island because it's just women on the island. Um, and once she gets off the island, she basically goes thotting around.
Thotting
And
around.
she does. So, I mean, even Roy calls her out, because she is very insecure about him being with um just I don't know her name. Um, I think her name is Jade.
Mm-hmm.
No, no, that was Kyle Rayner. Um,
Oh, you mean the person Roy is with? That is Cheshire.
yeah, Cheshire. So he's with her, has a baby with her, and so of course Donna is written as jealous or insecure. And so he basically calls her out on her thoughtness of that you've been around with a lot of other people and you're basically badgering me about who I'm with, and yeah, it was very weird. And it all pointed to the fact that Donna felt she wanted to fill this void because she was missing a father that she never knew. She got his letter and he ended up dead. He basically had Donna, left her mother because he was closeted, decided to come out the closet and, live his life free of Donna and her mother, which honestly, if you know that about your biological parent, period, why would you be chasing them?
Yeah,
Like
I know, because like if he abandoned you.
he literally abandoned you. He shot you to deuces. You should shoot him double deuces because that is just horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes around and meeting his family, I think, and meets his husband and go to where he worked, which was he was a firefighter, which the way Jimenez, you know, draws characters, you can definitely tell that he had a firefighter fantasy with that.
Well, the other thing is like if you look at like one of the images of Donna as a little girl, speaking of drawing weird, so Donna's eyes look very off. Like one of them is
Cross-eyed,
like a different, yeah, exactly. One of them is a different shape than the other. And I go, who is editing this book?
either cross-eyed or lazy eye, one of them. But
One
yeah,
of them, yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
exactly. Then you
It's
have her.
to the point. One more like shout out. They made a meme and they essentially said, "Hang on, I'll pull it up." It's a fantastic meme about Donna, about this version of Donna, and she essentially renamed this Donna. She goes, "Donna Troy is dead. Long live Donna Hickey."
Wow. Yeah, that yeah,
Yeah, and it's this image of Donna right there. It's such a weird face. I'm
it
like,
is.
I thought I thought they edited it, and I go, what's wrong with her eyes? And then they go, I don't know.
Exactly. Um, Kissing Grayson was solely unnecessary, even to go with did you feel anything? And he says no. So she says no. Very weird for that. It's kind of like, why did you have to have them kiss just to say that they don't feel any type of feelings for each other? Then you have her on Tinder, which she sees a guy that's named Steve and says that Diana wouldn't like that. And I'm kind of like, again, who cares for Steve? You know,
Mm-hmm.
when, why? Why is that even emphasized? So yeah, at the end, I think she goes on a date, but it also ends with seeing her, I guess her last memories or whatever is her with her Chucky baby and Terry. I guess that's what that is at the end. I didn't really read it. I just skimmed through it because it was so, with the images that I was seeing from other people, I was just like, okay, this is not good at all. We really just wanted to read this because we want to get an understanding of Diana's,
And Britt, there are
continuity.
people that want Jimenez to take over for King.
No, no.
I love that silence. You could tell Britt was like, I want to swear, but it's Jared's show.
I was about to slip. I was, but gladly, at some point you can edit this. You can edit stuff because that is the one thing. I love live shows, but I just appreciate and love pre-recordings because I can slip and then you'll edit it out
That's
for
right,
me.
Jared. I'm such a good co-host. I'm going to make the editing job insanely long for you.
I'm sorry,
I
but
mean, our first episode, I literally had to raise the volume every single time you spoke.
yeah, blame Apple for that.
Mm-hmm.
Blame Apple. Um, but yeah, so then you have her. Yeah, it was just awful, and Jimenez definitely he needs to put down, trying to write Wonder Woman because he can't do it. He did have some moments within his his run, but I mean his first run or his first story was Gods of Gotham. That's kind of like you start your run off with Batman. That's yeah, we can already tell where you're going with that. Then you have issue 170 of Diana in her own book as a mouthpiece to settle down the Clois fans about,
And to hold up, look how awesome Trevor Barnes is, to the point. I will say the funniest part about it is when I love where Diana goes, isn't he beautiful? And then Lois goes, yes, he is, and he's definitely not Steve Trevor.
which doesn't make sense because Steve is an old man and was like Diana's big brother father figure. So what does that have to do with anything?
It really doesn't, and it's one of those things where this was a disappointment for a lot of people, but what's kind of funny, Britt and I saw this coming. We were like, there's no way this ends up this well.
Yeah, we were trying.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we were, like I said, we were trying to
We tried
give
to
it a chance.
warn you.
That, but also give it a chance because, again, trying to understand Diana's continuity and obviously if Donna is 33, around about or whatever. Tom King said Diana is mid 30s, so about 34, 35.
Mm-hmm.
But she can't be because Donna now has the fire rescue out of the fire origin. So Diana is old as dirt, which we didn't want. Middle aged or whatever, pushing 50. Then you have her. Now that you want to have the Trinity as equals, now they're equal as like I said, pushing 50. Then you have what doesn't make sense is that you've basically canceled out Tom King's run though because his
That's a
Donna
good thing. That's a good thing. That makes
that
sense.
is
Don't say it doesn't make sense, Britt. That's
no,
a
no,
good
no,
thing.
it doesn't make sense because it's kind of like, do y'all not communicate about like what origin or whatever y'all are going to go with? Because obviously not, because Donna is always confusing, but it takes months of planning these books and whatever story and trying, if they are already trying to merge everything together. And you had um, Tom King's origin or whatever for Donna, then how is it that she has the fire origin now, you know? So now she's not the twin of Diana. So yeah, the good thing though is that it did cancel out half of his well, issue 4 and I think issue 14 though.
Good. Now, if only we can cancel out the other 20
Not
issues,
issue
we'll
4.
have something good here.
Not issue 4. That's the cancer patient. I think it was issue 5 with the Wonder Girls. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's like now all we got to do is cancel out the other issues, then we actually have something going here. But anyway, I think that's a good
Right.
place to leave it. So, Britt, do you have any stories you want to tease us with?
Okay, so of course I am finishing a shelter chapter 4. And again, this is more of like the holiday months. So getting that in the holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas mood really early. um then I have Awakened Desires, a last chapter with the epilogue. And
That was highly demanded for the plot.
right. I mean, yeah, very. The plot is a very nice way to put that. But and I also have Odyssey chapter 3, which is again it a lot of rearranging of certain things because we have so many ideas, but the way this is plotted is very much showing or showcasing Olympia as Clark and Diana's daughter, and especially with Diana, her connection, and also the connection with the gods. And then I have a little bit of well, a few little one shots, you know, that I'm finishing up, and those will be posted within the week.
Hell yeah, I can't wait.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I also want to thank everyone because we have reached 70,000 followers on Instagram. Actually, 70.1 K, which is kind of funny because to see the growth of this page, you know, for a ship, you know, that the echo chamber of that bird app says no one likes, or that it's illegal to ship Superman and Wonder Woman, or they call us all different
Illegal.
names, you know, but yet it's still a very positive, you know, outcome with it all, that we are gaining the followers, that we are showing fans that it's okay to like things and don't have to follow the crowd, even though again that crowd is very much an echo chamber. I did get a comment that said that she's proud to, or you know, glad to find the page because for so long she thought she was wrong for shipping Clark and Diana. That, you know, when she expressed it, she was bullied and harassed. So seeing the page, seeing the interactions and everything, she felt basically validated and at home. And that's what, you know, we want to use our platforms for, is for other fans to feel at home and feel welcomed and proud of whatever makes you happy. We talk about Chloe in a negative way, you know, because we are
It's all in
basically poking,
jest.
yeah, and it's also poking holes at the already Swiss cheese roll that it is. You know, the contradictions, the double standards, and everything of even Wonder Bad and Wonder Trev and all these other, even crack ships, you know. But you demonize a ship that, yes, it has its flaws, but it's also the idea of it, though, is very much within the characters, and the purpose of it means so much in representing diversity. That is our main thing, is diversity and
Yeah, exactly.
representation. So again, for people to continue on gravitating to our pages or, you know, anything like that, and the positive talk that we do see is very much appreciated.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's like, no, anyone is welcome to hang out with us as long as you're not toxic about it. Because we recently had an encounter with toxicity. See my Twitter. But the point is, as long as you treat us with respect, you will be treated with respect back. Let's be clear on that.
Exactly.
So stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs with General Zod or Satan or Darkseid. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Dave the Impaler because he came up with some good ship names for Lois and Darkseid. So first off, we have Dois, and then we have Larkside.
Wow.
So Dois and Larkside for life. As Steve Trevor belongs at the surface of the sun. And stay heroic, everyone. Bye-bye.